All right. So resuming after a short break, um, we're talking about what I wanted to mention is that in terms of, for lack of a better word, marketing and promoting what we're doing and inviting people to join us. As I see it, there are kind of two audiences, right? There's the audience that's ready for the food conversation, and then there's the subset of that audience that's a very small subset that's ready for the food conversation and the conversation about collective superintelligence. And maybe I'm worrying about them too much because, as we've already identified, there is this natural pathway for people to get into the expanded conversation, which is to come into the food conversation, just food, but come in droves. And those droves of people will know that they're landing in the collective intelligence block party. And they'll say, what's that? And so they'll get exposed. And either they're ready for that bigger picture or they're not. Right, Emery?
Hey.
Hey, welcome back, Emery. We're recording and live streaming. How you doing, Emery?
It's a struggle today.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. So, I was talking about how, maybe we don't need to worry about even, convincing anyone or selling anyone on the bigger picture, because they will, we just focus on bringing everyone into the food conversation. And yes, mention that we're applying collective intelligence to it, but not really push collective intelligence as a topic on the people who are coming. They want to come to talk food. Let's talk food, right? That's my attitude. Go for it, Emery. Yes.
Yeah, just say something about the food conversation. I was experiencing last time there. I kind of found it very, like a lot of red tape, It seemed to be quite complicated, for no, like, what's the reasoning behind it? I don't know. Doesn't seem to make much sense in my mind.
The reasoning behind what?
Well, all the different, all the, I guess they're asking questions. You have to go through a certain process of achieving so many points to pass to the next level of membership, or what is it exactly?
No.
Going on, too much going on. You know what I mean? In my mind, there's a lot of dancing, and
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to share with you my perspective on all that whenever you're ready, but don't let me rush you. Take your time, Emery.
I guess I'll put some more thought into try to explain it. But it's all I can tell. I guess I can say is that for some reason it's not sitting as comfortably in my heart spot and other things, and there's a reason for that, and I think it's the way it's being laid out there. It's something wrong.
Yeah. So I'll respond to that. I have a similar feeling, and the way it manifests for me is that there's an obvious thing to do, which is to bring everyone into this conversation and organize ourselves appropriately, by topic, by conversation, fill out the taxonomy that we need to fill out so that we really get rich perspective on this and solution building, et cetera, et cetera. But it's basically through this medium, right? Through collective intelligence via video conference, right? An app, while I definitely understand the value of an app, but for me, that doesn't come anywhere near the value of what we're creating here. And so it's kind of like, why are we spending so much time talking about the app when the real action is in the conversation? That's how it occurs to me. Is that kind of what you're feeling? Are you feeling something different? Or back to you, Emery?
I kind of sense there's some kind of economy there, some kind of unnamed, unquantitated, quantitated value for some aspect of that whole operation. I mean, not to say that people aren't entitled to to have expenses met or whatever, right? I mean, there's ways of getting that done, but just I just see it more like there's a holdback. The there's a resistance. There's a resistance there. I don't know why it needs to be such a resistance just to go for the obvious, which is what you're trying to have them understand. I mean, and then ramp it off from here, from your end, from the collective intelligence set. Not to say that that's the vegan collective. Yeah, I mean, one could say, well, okay, this is the vegan collective intelligence. So, okay, but then again, there's a whole structure there. I guess the chicken or the egg. I want to bring it down to the chicken and the egg, but I think, as you've defined it, we need this accelerated evolution now, and to have this division kind of thing happening there along the way, I don't think it's that helpful. I think there needs to be more discussion there between those that are really involved more deeply than I guess I could say I am. I mean, I'm not particularly involved, right? In that development there. So I guess my understanding is somewhat limited as to all the players, all the people with interest in it. But I feel like the main interest here is, the primary one, which is just saving life, and we've got that strategy built out, more or less, right? So I think it needs to be embraced more. Like the specific strategy, it needs to be embraced a lot more. Now, of course, the app could play a part of it. So I'm not saying no. It's fine.
Welcome back, Jackie.
Thank you. I am so sorry. That was a mess. And Myra just texted me to say thank you to Jamin for helping.
Oh, absolutely. Very happy to help. Very happy. And you're welcome, Myra. Awesome. Yeah, so we're talking about, and I don't know that we need to really focus on this too much. I don't know that that's really what you're even proposing, Emery, but I think you just wanted to share what, what your feeling was on that.
Yeah, I'm not proposing any kind of disruption here or anything. I mean, obviously their hearts are in the right place. They want to do something positive there. I'm just saying that it's so much, like what's the point? Like so much tape everywhere. It's so sticky, you know. I find it so sticky.
Yeah. Just to recap for Jackie, what Emery finds sticky is just, I guess, a lot of the focus on the app and details related to the app and points and this and that, versus, why don't we just get right to the heart of it and focus on getting everyone here and in the conversation. And I think part of the reason for that is we humans have a tendency to want to, come to market with something worked out and say, here, look, I've got something that's worked out. Here's something that's solved, versus coming to market with a big sign that basically says, hey, I don't have stuff worked out. I need help. Do you want to talk with me? And then some hoodlums from a couple streets down start throwing rotten tomatoes at the dude, right? That's the fear, the rotten tomato syndrome, right? Because
Well,
you don't have your stuff worked out. You're not coming to market with something worked out, right?
Well, what are the primary things that have to be worked out, Jamie? What's the main
Yeah.
What's the main objective what's the main concern there? What's the stumbling point of things that need to be worked out? I mean, on one hand, you got food, producers of food, people who should have food and people who need food, right? We've got certain things that are very obvious that exist right now in the picture. And I mean, to coordinate these things shouldn't have to be worked out to the millionth degree here. I mean, let's just get some main things done and some commitments drawn up, like reached. Let's try to keep the process. To a minimum. Like it shouldn't be that hard to understand. Is what I'm saying. You're in it to do it, or you're going to be playing around in the sand.
Yeah. No. I totally get you, Emery. Let me see if I can articulate it in a slightly different way, but basically the same thing, which is that we could be just totally focused on building out the collective intelligence to fan out to all the different topic areas like I talked about earlier. I'm just going to rattle off a few. Agriculture, community gardens and urban farms, permaculture, rooftop gardens, etc. Kitchens for preparing food, delivery, volunteers, cities, city governments, donations, the app, congregations. Anyway, fan out, have conversations, basically just invite the world to this conversation where we're figuring all of this out, break it down into those different topic areas, and get to work and do it and come up with some master plan. There will be a database that basically for every city block or every street, between two intersections on both sides of the street, call that a unit, where all the units are accounted for. No matter what the unit, there is an organization that is committed to feeding that unit. Okay, so we get that all worked out. Then the next thing is, how do we keep these different, kitchens, commercial kitchens, supplied with all the raw materials they need? And that's a matching problem, matching the farms to the kitchen. So we got to get all that sorted out. Anyway, basically what I'm saying, and what I think you're saying, Emery, is why don't we focus on that? That's where the action is, right? Getting the different players together and breaking us down into the different topic areas, populating those topic rooms, right? And working it out and getting it done, right? And not, artificially squeezing in the middle of that whole process an app, right? What for? Right? When what we really need is collective superintelligence.
Right. God,
Yeah.
I'd like to see that happen, where we are bringing people like that in, or they get touched some way, somewhere along the line, okay, of the conversation. Their ear gets they get wind of the of what's going on, and then they know that they can get involved. They're inspired to get involved, because just sending out an invitation may not be the total answer of reaching these people. And I mean, I think they have to be exposed to something really something that's really happening. They got to feel the movement towards this this thing that's being done for the betterment of our situation, right? And yeah, I think the logistics of it, the logistics of it seem fairly complicated. But at the end of the day, I think once you start bringing these people together, right, they're gonna magnetize to each other. They're gonna know. I think they're gonna find their connections, right?
Absolutely.
It's gonna be obvious at some point. I'm doing this and you're doing that. Well, I think we can work together. Here we go, right? But come on, let's bring them in somehow. Identify who. I think that's the big job ahead of us, really, how to do that. And there's so much of it happening. Also, there's a lot of good things happening for people. Humanitarian things are happening all the time, right? Now, it's to find an inclusive way of having everyone kind of feel together on the job, and that's, I guess, the overall stone soup nature of this this operation. I I think once that's explained like that, I mean, it's a beautiful story. Yeah, it could be just a story, but you know, uh,
Silas, Silas already got the ball rolling. He took food. You don't have to wait for big gangs. We were the small gang. I don't know whether it might be a lot more people than I know about in this setup, but he did it. He just took the food. He took the food along. You don't need to convince the crowd. Maybe a crowd comes, or they do, in my view, they do come once there's some action, and that was the action. Jamin put together the space, and then one person, two person, three people, Myra, Jackie, and Silesh out that space, acted on it, and that is movement. So if there's any movement, people get behind it. So then they get in touch with the churches. They say, yeah, you've got the empty kitchens. Already that movement's starting to grow, and it will go exponential, because that's the nature of so few people actually act on it. Just get on with it. They leave it we all leave it at the talk. They all talk, no action. We're stuck. A lot of us are stuck in that. Oh yeah, we talk about it, but we don't act on it. But it's already been acted on. So the big crowd's coming, don't worry.
And so, can I ask you something? So,
Yeah, sure.
I think I just wanted to let you know that for some reason, I don't know what it is exactly or precisely, like it's been for a while now, like when I try to listen to you, it's not clear. It's not as clear as it was at one time. Have you changed something in your setup for microphone wise, or
Yeah,
have you
well,
made some speaches? Because it's harder and harder to understand when you're speaking.
Yeah, I think this works better on Google Chrome, and I stopped using Google Chrome. I was using something else. So,
Okay.
so I'll change it back.
Yeah, it was a lot clearer before, when you first
Yeah.
when we
Okay.
met. When we met, you're a lot clearer and easier to understand than nowadays. Nowadays, I find it's more difficult to catch everything that you're saying.
Okay, so I'll
Just to let you know.
thank you. I'll change back to Google Chrome for the next time. Thank you.
Very good. Sounds like a love song. You were so much clearer when we first met. I'm getting all choked up here. Anyway, all right. I can still hear you. Okay. So, anyway,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we know of any other community right now that is taking the holistic approach that we're taking to answer the question on how to save life on Earth?
Yeah. The answer is yes and no. The yes part is, like if you go to Rebel Wisdom, if you go to Now What, which is Ben, I forget his last name, but anyway, Ben Roberts, his network, and they have, so there's different networks kind of working on sort of different angles, but none of them that say, hey, let's come together and apply our collective intelligence. Everyone come join us, and let's all get together and apply our collective intelligence to save life on Earth. We're the only ones that I know of who are saying that, or anything even close to that, right?
And I think Jamin as well, by saying save life on Earth, it's taken as given that there is a massive crisis. So anyone who hasn't quite got on the page with that we're close to extinction, you've just said it. You just overruled it in a way by saying we're saving life on Earth. It's whole. It's complete. It's a complete thing. It's not just the little pieces. It's all of it.
So my question is, for all of those networks that are not cultivating collective intelligence, are they taking the holistic approach that we're taking, including animal agriculture, including solar radiation management, including health, including the social justice aspects of it? I mean, the whole complete picture. I mean, I think we are the only ones that have the entire vision, the holistic approach as to how to save life on Earth, and we address all of them in the collective intelligence. I think we're the only community that is literally looking at the entire picture and seeing the whole, and bringing the animals and bringing that interconnectedness of all of the institutions, like all of it. And I think they're still very compartmentalized. And if we can show that all of you are just one family and we all welcome here because we're all working on the same thing, I think we can show that we truly are taking the most holistic approach and the one that's most aligned with nature. I mean, there's other organizations that we say, okay, but they're not talking about this. Okay, they're great, but they're not talking about this. What are we not talking about? In this collective intelligence meetings, what do we even talk about ancient civilizations and ancient archaeology. We discuss everything here, everything and anything that can contribute to healing and saving life on Earth. We're open and we're receptive to that. Who else is doing that?
And who else is carving out 24 hours consecutive every week? Oh, and then another 8 hours on Tuesday. That's 32 hours a week, right? That's a full-time job, almost. And, you know, and given the intensity of being in these meetings and being open and being holding the space for the whole of the world, it takes a lot of energy, right? There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Don't get me wrong, right?
Is Nolan taking over tonight?
Oh yeah. Nolan will be here 9 p.m. to 2 a.m.
But,
So I'm not. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just saying, and going on what you're saying there, or something, Jackie, as well. Moreover, as well, we're the only ones. Not only are we doing what Jackie was saying, but we're the only ones doing it with the intention of looking for solutions. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, that's the key. We're getting together to have these holistic conversations with the intent of finding solutions, not just having a lovely conversation like they're doing on Humanity Rising and all heading off again after an hour or two. You know, I've tuned in for the first one, and I tuned in for the second, another one, and I haven't tuned back in anymore because I, had enough of that quick enough.
Yeah, it sounds like the old paradigm of somebody up on a podium presenting and lecturing to a bunch of people down beneath them.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're going to get the whole world on board, or a significant number of people on board, they have to be able to participate. The trouble with that panel thing is, you're there to listen, you're not participating. We need to participate. That's when we've got equity. If we're participating, and we need to know that if there's some big organized thing, that we can bring our bit to it, that it's open, the door's open for us to come in. I don't feel, if a bunch of people are being important on a panel, I don't feel that I can come in. I think I'm supposed to sit there and clap, and I'm not big on clapping.
I love what you just said. So that is so cool. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Okay. So I think we can easily dispense with those pseudo save life on Earth knockoffs, right, from the old paradigm. Really focus on the core, which is what we're doing. Is there anyone else doing what we're doing? Well, here's the thing. If there were, we'd call them up and say, hey, let's get together. Yeah. Why don't you and I combine? Let's get together. We could have a real good time. And though we haven't got a lot, we could be sharing what we've got together, and we'd both come together, right? And, we're like, a litter of 7 puppies who got separated at birth. and who want nothing more than to come back together, right? So people who get it want to merge. People who don't get it want to stay separate. We're here ready to merge with the whole world. The door is wide open. Come on in. Join us. It's as simple as that, right? So, yeah. Oh, Emery, I'm so sorry, dude. You've had your hand up for a while. Go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring Ben Roberts back into the picture. What now, right? I mean, now what? I'm sorry. Now what? And that's a good question. Now what? It's like, what what have what has collective intelligence as has like the question I would have is, has collective intelligence reached out enough to now what? I mean, they Ben they started something pretty decent over there, right? With the cafe and everything, and everybody being listed and getting it on the map and whatnot. But I mean, that takes quite a bit of development. I think it was a great start, but I think it needs more input, right? But have we done enough in trying to participate on that side of the coin? I mean, it's great to want people to come into this side of the conversation, but it goes both ways. You gotta present also and get involved there as well to otherwise how can you reach out and
The only thing, Emery, is like if you're whole, you can include all the pieces, but if you're part, you can only include bits of the whole. So by making it huge and the whole thing, the small parts can come in, but you can go to, if you want to talk about bigger things than the one or two or three or four issues that they're concentrating on in one of those groups, then they're going to find you disruptive because you're bringing in all these other issues as well. Whereas this one, the big whole one, has integrity because it has all the bits. So that's what I'd say. I mean, anyway, we're all probably in conversation with lots of different groups. I listen to Guy McPherson, I listen to this one, I listen to that one. I take what's interesting, and I listen to economists and everything. So I'm not excluding, personally, I'm not excluding any of them and some of the pieces that they're bringing. But I like the big contained whole thing where you can cover every issue.
Yeah, I agree. To answer what you raised, Emery, to me it feels like now what, in a sense, misses the it being, let's get together long form and figure this out, even if it takes all night. Meeting for 2 hours, it's not enough, right? You spend half an hour just digesting who else is in the room, and then you talk for an hour, and then you spend, it's just not enough. We've got to go deep. We've got to look at the full stack, which is exactly what we're doing right here. We're deep on the full stack, and we found the way in. Food combined with collective intelligence. So the there is right here. It's long form. It's get into it and do it. And the other thing I wanted to say about it, Emery, is, look, I definitely see the you know, the logic to reaching out and presenting in other venues and, you know, helping other communities find out about us, right? Definitely see that, no question. However, also consider that by us fundamentally sticking to our knitting, right, and working with those who get it, who we know get it because they're hanging with us, like Silas, right, and John, etc., like so many folks. By sticking to our knitting and working with folks who we know get it, look at the opportunities that have just presented themselves and are now in full development, right? What we are in the process of accomplishing is nothing to you know, to belittle, right? Not that anyone's belittling it, but I'm just saying, you know, don't mess with success. So exactly what form is this success taking as I see it? We have, by focusing, we have now set the stage for a growing planetary community focused on developing and applying collective intelligence to feeding everyone. Period, full stop. That's the headline for the masses. And it's darned appealing, right? So that's how I see the success being as unfolding, is we've been applying our collective intelligence to this, and finally pieces are coming together in a really big way that we now have a story and a plan and a trajectory for growth, for exponential growth. Anyway, I'm complete with that. I mean, but it's not something that I haven't struggled with it. I have struggled with it. How much of my life do I spend on this outreach? What I tend to do, just so you all know, is, you know, I give myself a huge break after the block party for the rest of the weekend, basically. I do a little work here and there. I make sure I get the block party uploaded and stuff like that. But other than that, I just give myself a big break. And, you know, next thing you know, Tuesday's coming along, and that's a big day. And then I need a break for Wednesday and Thursday. You know, I've got work to do. There's always stuff to do. But I try to minimize what I do beyond these meetings, right?
Just had a question.
Yeah, Emery, go for it.
I just wanted to ask you then, to what extent have you established any footprint at now what? Have you established a presence there then, right?
I've gone to 2 of their meetings, and you know, made it known who we are and what we're doing.
But are you on the board? Like, are you?
No.
Are you on
No,
the? Are you?
I haven't.
Have you made it to any listing? Like, is there any? Did Ben put you on the list?
No, he invited me to put myself on. I just haven't done it.
Okay. Well, I think that's something you could think about and consider doing. It's not going to be lost. It's not going to be a lost effort to get at least put Radish on the list, on that list. You know what I mean? Like reach out there and at least that's done. You know.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Emery. That I commit to doing, and I'm going to make a note of it here.
Has there been a permaculture speaker yet?
I don't know, actually. You could just go look up now what Ben Roberts.
No, Jamin, here. I mean, in the collective. This collective.
The closest thing we've had to that was a couple of months ago. A gentleman from Austria, who was a guest of, I think he was a guest of Dylan's. It may have been Dylan. But anyway, this gentleman from Austria presented this whole plan that they developed of basically a tiny house, which has permaculture and even aquaculture built into it. And that each household could actually be a net exporter of food, right? And but the idea is that everyone would be self-sufficient, right, basically, and even have a surplus. And just a really inspiring model. It's all recorded. I forget which block party it was, but that was on, he was just a special guest during one of our segments. I forget which segment. I think we just custom created a segment for this guest, but it was good. It was great.
I really enjoyed, I missed quite a bit of it, but you know Will Tuttle, I'd never heard of him. And I went back and I watched his little videos on YouTube, and I really liked him a lot. I really liked the way he brought everything in. He was a non-judgmental vegan. He's, you know, spreading the word on it. He does talk. So I just I was really pleased to discover that guy.
Yeah. And
Roger Hallam was a permaculturist.
Yeah, he did. He had a farm and he did box vegetables. I didn't actually know if he did the permaculture route, but it would make sense. I think he had polytunnels, but you know he was farming in Wales. I think he still owns the farm. He's got somebody who's taken over the work of the farm while he concentrates on the Extinction Rebellion. That's Roger Hallam, Jackie. Is that who you meant? Roger Hallam? Yeah, it's Hallam. And if you go to YouTube, just type in Roger Hallam, because more recently he's done a lot more talks that were just him talking rather than him talking on behalf of the Extinction Rebellion. But he was one of the co-founders, so he talks a lot about that as well. But he seems to have separated out a bit, although he's still a paid worker of Extinction Rebellion.
Well, it's not so much they separate out a bit at all. He's doing what we're doing, really, I suppose. Well, we have been doing before the lockdown situation. He's doing what a lot of others are doing now. He's using the Zoom platform to get his word out, like, and he's branching out now, as I said, doing a lot of talks with community groups as well as individuals, like the Doom's post-Doom conversation that we were looking at there today. But yeah, actually, just about that, I don't know about reaching out to people. Roger Hallam being one we should as well, like. But that letter we were working on there last week on the Solution Club the other night there, Jamin, I didn't get a chance to actually copy and paste it, copy it and paste it into my own Word document. So if you can put that up again at some stage there, and I'll copy it, because I want to put that into my Word document. And if we're happy with that, I'm going to, you know, it's time to start. As I said, like, Jackie has been doing great work there, getting guests on and everything else. So it's time for us all to start making, or reaching out and try and get more people in as guests, because I think bringing guests in brings in their followers as well, like, so, because they do advertise it on their sites, like, that they're going to be speaking somewhere or whatever, like. So, you know, people that are subscribed to them get all their links and they know what they're up to.
I just put it in the chat, James, and I had also sent it out in the email last night. So, you know, so important stuff like that I tend to put in the email for the night before the block party.
No bother, I didn't get a chance to read that last night. I was having trouble with my phone last Thursday. I had to
Yeah, no.
actually do one, and I'm only working on that one now, getting it figured out.
Sure. No, that's just for reference. I was just for reference. I generally put stuff in my. I try to pack those semi-weekly emails twice a week. I like to load those emails up with good stuff. So so
I have a question, Jamin. If we're
Yeah.
going to start like really like bringing the guests in, because like James said, that's like a wonderful idea. What would the first categories of conversations be so that we could say, you know what, at least let's get 2 or 3 categories that we think are the most relevant to this conversation, and we'll start inviting guests so they can see the bigger picture?
I think a water expert would be good. Somebody who's looking at new water systems, equitable water systems, agriculture, which is obviously linked, and trees, tree specialists, woodland specialists, rewilding specialists.
What would those categories look like if we just name what Soul's contributions were? What categories are we popping out like that we can have that they would fall under guests?
yeah. So
Environment.
here's go ahead, James.
Sorry, Jim. Environmental, I would say. And if you look up at anyone's videos that are environmentally related, they nearly all know kind of, you know, on the same page that everything's closely linked and related. But there's only a few out there like starting to step out of and put their heads above the parapet, like Guy McPherson has been doing, and like the likes of I know Peak Prosperity, knowing them, like they're now starting to talk about global dimming and things like that, and tipping points and everything else. So these are the people we need to reach out to as well, but also on specific subjects like permaculture and aquaculture and all that as well. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's all sorts of aspects that come into the environment anyway. Like, so these are the people. If you know anyone in your area, or you know anyone that comes to mind, the world is a small place now with email. So I'm just gonna go think of the few people that I've that stood out to me on YouTube videos or whatever that I've watched, or news pieces that I've watched, and I'm gonna reach out to them. And so I had a very good idea by looking at the comments underneath these videos as well, and reaching out, even with just advertising, go to the block party with in the comment sections. So it's just, yeah, like I said, Tuesday night, it's time to start reaching out, get people in here, because we're doing the right thing. We just need more voices in the conversation.
So, you know, the comments section, James, basically, prior to finding this through Guy McPherson, I was looking for a conversation. So I would occasionally put a comment there. With the comment section, it's very linear. You rarely get a reply. You might get somebody just doing a thumbs up on something you said, if you're lucky. But you're not really a big participant. You're underneath this video. But I would say that those people in the comments section, they would be pretty much like me. They were looking for the conversation. So they're kind of dead ringers for a fit for this, really. Not all of them, obviously, but you can tell the smart ones and the ones that have interesting things to say, and the ones that are open-minded. You can tell who they are from the comments.
Exactly, yeah. And as you said, like it's easier if you respond to something they say with a comment yourself first. And if you'll see by their response to your comment, if they do choose to respond, or if they just give you a thumbs up, then leave them off. Like, but if they do choose to respond, then, and they do in kind, and see that you're speaking with the, you're both on the same wavelength, well, then that's the time then to say, okay, you should check this out, like, and give them the link then to the block party. That's the way to kind of cipher out the waste of spaces as well, because there's a lot of what you call them, trolls on those sites as well.
Yeah,
it's
a kind of outreach, isn't it, to do that? And it's a very easy thing to do. It's a very easy thing for me to do, because I look through those comments because I like the conversation. So I like to see what people who haven't necessarily got a platform, what they have to say. So it's quite easy for me to do that. So I'll commit and I'll start doing that, okay?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, James.
No, I was just saying definitely it's a good idea, all right, because I mean I've responded to a couple of people's comments under a few things that I've watched, and like that, no, I've been told like anything from just thumbs up to had good replies back as well, like, so they're the people you reply to. I also had someone tell me, go, fuck off, you don't know what you're talking about, kind of a thing, or whatever, but that was because their mindset was somewhere else as well, like, so as I said, we can't convince everybody for your own beliefs, so, or views, but yeah, it's a good idea, so.
All right. Well, I'm working up some topics based on what Jackie was requesting a few minutes ago, because where I'm going with it, let me know if you're going in the same direction, Jackie, is that we need to chunk out the schedule, both for the block party and the Solution Club. Let's do it now. Let's get it done and, move ahead, right? So, but first, let's make a list of the topics. First of all, but is everyone cool with that, or I want to make sure I'm not derailing another conversation. Okay, all right. So I have here are what I'm going to call the big three. I'm going to go ahead and just type these into the chat while I speak them. Food healers. So you don't have to. I'm typing it all in, so you can just copy paste if you like. Food healers, rethinking and rebuilding food networks, semicolon, feeding everyone. Bam, okay? Something like that, okay. The next one, CSI. Obviously, collective superintelligence, the other half of the double helix. And what's and the reason I call it that is that's how we link it to food healers. Food healers is one half of the double helix, CSI is the other half, and it's like a DNA molecule, the two of them together. They co-evolve. Food and CSI co-evolve.
And Jamin,
yeah.
The pharmaceuticals, if we had somebody who's explored the area of modern pharmaceuticals and are prescribed legal addictions to the medications that were given, that would be another area of interest, and somebody out there, lots of people out there have focused on that, and they have something interesting to say, and they would make interesting speakers.
Interesting. Here's my feeling on that. So I just put the big three up in the chat. I'll just read through them one more time. Food healers, rethinking and rebuilding, and then I'll answer your thought. So, food healers, rethinking and rebuilding food networks, feeding everyone. CSI, the other half of the double helix. And, and that's the original double helix, food and CSI. SRM is solidly in third place. See, food and CSI, they're tied for first, and SRM is in third. The only reason I say that is because SRM depends upon a powerful, full, mature CSI, and it depends upon everyone being fed. Otherwise, all bets are off for SRM. So SRM comes third. But having said that, we can do number 1 and number 2 very quickly. We can do food and CSI very quickly, right? And that's exactly what we're talking about here. But now, so I put all, and then SRM, SRM, the only way to cool Mother Earth in time, it's life or death. It's life and death, or life or death, I guess I should say. Anyway, for me, those are the big 3, and that's really what we should focus on. And to talk about pharmaceuticals, or even any other topic that's not squarely within those big 3, my personal feeling is we would be spreading ourselves too thin. We've already got 3 giant areas to master, collective. I mean, just food alone, my goodness, it's huge. Now I'm sounding like Donald Trump. It's huge. It's gonna be huge. But it's huge. We're talking about feeding 8 billion people 3 meals a day, right? That's a lot. So, and then on top of that, CSI, that's another biggie. And then on top of that, SRM. These are 3 big things, right? And I think we'd be wise to focus on these big 3 and say, look, these big 3 are the 3 pillars of the foundation for life continuing far into the future. And like a 3-legged stool, remove any one leg and you're falling down to the floor. Ouch, right? We need all 3. So I think by focusing on those 3 and just saying, look, this is what we're all about, people. There's a whole bunch of interesting stuff out there, including pharmaceutical companies and how they're poisoning and addicting. And I mean, that's a big deal, believe me. I worked on ending prohibition and taking down criminal drug cartels. I've spent a chunk of my life doing it. So it's not for lack of interest in that topic, believe me, that I just really, but this is what I'm suggesting, right? Feel free to disagree. Let's talk about it, because it's very important that we build. Yeah.
In a way, that what I was saying about the pharmaceutical companies, the food, feed everyone and feed everyone vegan, is part of that discussion, part of that conversation anyway. But they're all, if you want to save the world, that they're all part of the conversation. Would it actually matter too much if somebody came along and gave a spiel on that, as long as they linked it to the 3 pillars that you speak about?
I look, the reality is 32 hours of meeting per week, there's a lot of room in there for a lot of topics. That's the reality. So I'd say if there's an opportunity to get in a great speaker on some topic that's somehow connected. Look, it all has to do with the holistic health of all of us. And pharmaceuticals are a big deal because they're messing with us, right? And that's a big deal. And it's totally unethical what they're doing. So I'd say that's, why not? Is my feel. But let's not go seeking out, an expert in that. I'm just saying if we happen to stumble, if the opportunity presents itself, why not? But I think, anyway, I'd say let's focus first and foremost kind of on what are the topics that we want to be hitting every week, right? So we get those on the calendar and get into that rhythm like we were talking about earlier, right? Where we get to, where it just becomes like clockwork. Jackie, go ahead.
May I suggest 4 pillars? The spiritual transformation, the beingness, the divine feminine. There's such a huge component. Like I said, these are all wonderful efforts, but they're very intellectual and still very academic. And I don't think we can create this world without this spiritual, addressing the spirituality as a pillar of the foundation of life continuing on into the future.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So would you include spiritual transformation and the divine feminine as a single pillar? Or would those be separate pillars?
Oh, if we were going to name them both, they would go together.
Okay, so in other words, your preference is that they go together, right? Benjamin, Suzanne, how you guys doing?
Hi. Good. How are
Hey,
you guys?
good to see you guys. Where are you guys at?
This is a different view of the tiny house.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Look, this is our kitchen.
Awesome. That's super cool.
We
Oh
figured
my God, is that a tiny house? I love tiny houses. Is it a real tiny house? Where are you?
It's a real one.
my
We're
God.
in Portland, Oregon in the United States.
That is got to be a very tiny house kind of place.
It's a perfect
Yeah.
place.
Can we have a look around?
This might be all you get, but I'll give you a small tour. If everyone, are we interrupting anything?
No, if you don't mind being recorded, and if you'd rather we pause, just say so.
Oh yeah, we can do a small tour. It just so happens that we're a little cleaned up right now, so we can kind of show you around. Although I am plugged in, so there's only so much I'm going to show you.